when the title was Dr. Phil in the 2017 ACPT. But that was just because I got confused. And it's actually a lot harder because I have to prepare these talks before I know how Dr. Phil is going to do, right? Who knows? So I decided that this year's talk was going to be called, whatever happened, it was going to be called Dr. Phil Strikes Back. And the reason I was confident I could pull this off was not because Dr. Phil had like its worst year in a very long time. Last year it was like 78, and this year it's currently I think 13. I didn't know that was going to happen, so that's not what the title refers to. The title refers to the fact that I know that when you look at Dr. Phil, you see this. And I just want to let you know that when Dr. Phil looks at you, it sees that. So what I'm going to do today on Dr. Phil's behalf, I am going to show you the puzzles and how to talk about that. But I just want to spend a little bit of time telling you about all the people who have annoyed Dr. Phil over the years and how they have done it. So that's what I mean by Dr. Phil Strikes Back, and that's what I was confident I could do today, whether Dr. Phil was doing well or poorly. So, all the people who have annoyed Dr. Phil, or not all the people, some of the people who have annoyed Dr. Phil over the years, and I actually want to start for putting a digit in Puzzle 1 in 2016. Dr. Phil will never forgive Bruce Hayden. There he is. For messing with Dr. Phil almost continuously, Patrick Lindar is sort of okay because he messes with you as well, but Dr. Phil sort of takes it personally. For never giving Dr. Phil a prize for best penmanship. Now I have to tell you, this woman who is like the quintessence of kindness actually came up to me today. And she had Dr. Phil's puzzle. This is a true thing. True story. She came up to me today and she looked at me and she said, "How much would you pay to win the best penmanship?" And I knew that I was going to say this tonight, so I told her I wasn't interested. For gloating when Dr. Phil does badly. This is actually not the right picture. This is not the right picture. In fact, this. And lastly, for completely ruining Dr. Phil's performance in 2018, and it's amazing because he didn't have a crossword in the 2018 ACPT, and he still destroyed Dr. Phil's performance. I told BEQ this earlier, he felt so bad, he pretended to feel so bad, and let me tell you how he did it. He did it with this clue. And the answer is 6 letters. Does anybody know the answer? Shrub. So what? The answer is I don't know. This is not what ruined Dr. Phil. What ruined Dr. Phil was the hands. Because it turns out that these are not normal printing characters. And this clue is in the middle of Dr. Phil's giant database of all the clues that have ever appeared anywhere. And because of the way it was coded, when it got to this, it just stopped. And it said, "I'm sorry, this does not appear to be a text file. I'm going to ignore the rest." So Dr. Phil competed last year without about half of its database because of Brendan Emmett Quigley. There is, before I go on, there's one clue that sort of caught my fancy this year, I'm going to share with you. It has nothing to do with Dr. Phil, and then I'll get to the demo. Branch manager often 3 letters. This is the wrong picture. Okay.
Branch manager.
So the answer is dog. And assistant branch manager often. Well, the answer is also dog. Like I said, that has nothing to do with Dr. Phil. Don't do 7? So let me tell you a little bit about what you're going to see, because it's going to go by pretty fast. So what you see first is you're going to see Dr. Phil analyzing the clues. In previous years, it analyzed the clues 8 at a time. I have a little bit faster computer, so now it's going to analyze them 12 at a time. So the grids are going to come up, and the clues are going to be analyzed, and they're going to be in purple. And it's going to put up all these clues, and they're going to flash around, and it's going to be done. And then it's going to fill in the puzzle. That's going to go by pretty quickly, too. When it fills in the puzzle, the words will be a variety of colors. I'll explain the colors after it's filled in the first puzzle, and then it stops like you're all supposed to do, and it checks its work, and then it'll go on, perhaps, to do something else. So here it's doing puzzle 1, it's analyzed all the clues, it's filled in all the letters, it's done. And now it's sort of flashing around, so let me just hold that for a second. So as far as what the colors mean, green means I have basically seen this clue before. I'm really happy, totally satisfied, this is all good. So if I look at the clue at that square, 26 down is tree houses, that's also green. Nests, so it's seeing either this clue or something essentially equivalent, and that's why it's basically, every square is the worst of the 2 colors. So green means I've seen the clue, and similarly a ship's cargo capacity, or a ship's cargo capacity for tonnage, it's seen that before. It's scoring everything. Lower is better. So these negative scores, it's really convinced this is right. Blue means I haven't seen this before, but it's really close. So if it had put stowing in for ship's cargo capacity, that was blue. It's stowing and ships, it all sort of goes together. Black, like relay races here, black means I actually have no idea what's going on, but I'm a little bit concerned. Team events and track and field. I'm a little bit concerned because nobody ever clued relay races that way. But relay races is at least a word. It's in my dictionary, so I don't feel so bad. And similarly for finish line. Purple, baton pass. It's not in Dr. Phil's dictionary, but at least it's a sequence of words that are in Dr. Phil's dictionary. And then red means this is terrible, right? It's not a sequence of words, it's basically just nothing. So Dr. Phil solved this correctly, essentially immediately, and now what it's doing is it's checking its work, which is different for it than for you. It takes out words. So it says, okay, what if I couldn't put bore at 37 down? And every flash, it has removed bore at 37 down and completely refilled the puzzle. And if it's better, it keeps it, and if it's not, it says, well, that didn't work, I'll try something else. So all of these flashes that you see are Dr. Phil just doing that. And then when it's done, it colors the puzzle blue, and that means I should raise my hand and turn it in. The interface knows the right answer. So if a square here is wrong, it'll be highlighted in yellow. Dr. Phil doesn't know, but the interface knows, so you can see as you look at it. So hopefully that all makes sense. So that was puzzle 1. At the end, there's a little bit of extra stuff. It says, no theme I understand. and no apparent rebus. Dr. Fill does know about rebus puzzles. It doesn't do rebuses the way you do, but I'll get to that. So it doesn't know what the theme is here, but that's okay. So let me go on to puzzle 2. It's going to look pretty much the same. I'm going to let it go and try and talk fast. So it makes a mistake. This S is wrong, as you guys know. But it doesn't know what's going on, and it just keeps going. It says puzzle 2 is difficult. And now it's trying the thing where it's checking its work. That's going to stop. It sort of is timed so that it finishes just before a minute boundary if possible. So it's done. Well, it's not done. It decided to spend a little more time. Now it's done. And it's going to eventually say this is a geometry puzzle. That is the themes that are, in all honesty, geometry. The words that it found that share geometry are Capricorn, stock price, and microchips. So it's figured out the theme. It solves the puzzle again. Now it gets it right. I decided to do geometry puzzles because of Mike Shank's Sliding Countries or whatever it's called. Puzzles. And there have been many similar puzzles over the years. So when words go sideways and have angles and go back on each other, on themselves, that's what it's looking at. And now it is again, spend an extra minute. It actually, this happened. Right, Dr. Will said it took a minute and 2 seconds. It basically realized it had gone over a minute boundary and said, okay, I have time. I'm going to check my work a little bit more. It's done, it's right, and it's not going to do so well in the next few. So here's puzzle 3. Puzzle 3 was incredibly annoying for me because it made a mistake. So here we are. It's done everything. Now it's doing the checking. Hail Mary, pass, aid. Sort of a bit unfortunate. And I looked at what went wrong. And it's going to eventually say here, no theme I understand. And I looked at what. It's like, what? You've got classified adage. You've got dog poundage. You've got cloven footage. You've got backup bandage. How can you, what? So, what happened? So I have to tell you how Dr. Fill finds the theme, right? So it looks at classified adage, for example, and it said, well, that's sort of stupid, but what do I have in my database that's close? Classified ad, right? You and I know classified ad is close. And similarly for the other ones. It turns out that that's a hard problem. Figuring out, you've got this set of letters that's close to something, and you want to know what it's close to that's real. It's a hard problem that you actually encounter every day, even when you're not solving crossword puzzles. And you encounter it when you're using Google Maps. And you type in where you want to go, and you make some mistakes, and Google Maps finds it anyway. Or you type in what you're searching for, and Google figures out what you meant to type and brings you there. And Dr. Fill basically uses essentially the same algorithm that Google does. And it turns out that adding 3 letters in a row in one place is just not a mistake you make when you're typing in an address. You're looking for Joe's Pizza, and you type in Joe's Pizza name. You don't do that. So Dr. Fill decided, in some sense, this was just too far away from classified ad to be worth thinking about. And that is why it did not find the theme in puzzle 3. So it wound up making the mistake again. Puzzle 4 is just stupid. It's got all the I's and the B's and the headings. And now it gets harder. So what it's going to do here is it's actually going to decide this is a rebus puzzle. But for a terrible reason. It's got deep down here, and it's going to decide that's sort of stupid. I want to replace the K with press. Maybe I can put press all over the puzzle. It's a rebus, and the rebus is press. And now it refills the whole puzzle, putting in press. Wherever it wants. It just makes a new press all over the place. And it puts definitely help. One of the things that Dr. Fill doesn't know about, because and this is a conscious decision, because I thought Will would never do this in an ACPT, doesn't know about rebuses where the rebus will take different values in different places in the puzzle. So you, I mean, who would put apple in one place and head elsewhere? I mean, really? And I have thought often about whether I wanted to do that. And I've always concluded that Will wouldn't make it necessary. And at one ACPT in the past, when I was asked at the end of this little talk, I was asked, is there anything that you know Dr. Fill would have trouble with? And in my head, I thought, yeah, rebuses with multiple rebuses. And what came out of my mouth was, I can't imagine why I should answer that. So, that's puzzle 4. Puzzle 5. Puzzle 5 is interesting because so it's basically got you right, and it's screwing around to get it right here. It's going to keep screwing around, it's not going to get it right. But there are a few interesting things about this. First of all, based on Mike Shank's puzzle, it is much more excited about looking for these geometry themes, where things are moving and sliding and blah, blah, when there are lots of non-words in the puzzle. Because if you look at Mike Shank's exemplar, right? The Thomas Paine thing, that wasn't a word, and the scuba dive that turned into whatever. So it does not get as excited about looking for a geometry theme here as it might. In spite of that, and it's not obvious from the GUI here. In spite of that, it actually likes the right answer better than it likes its answer. So when Dr. Fill makes a mistake, it's one of two kinds. Sometimes it thinks the constructor was wrong. Sometimes it thinks it was wrong. I like the ones where it thinks it was wrong, because that means it's a technical problem that I have to solve. But what happened here is the clues are so far away, in some sense, from the words you enter, that they didn't provide the program with enough guidance. So even though it thought its answer was worse than the right answer, and would have preferred the right answer if it could find it, it was sort of just wandering around, and it couldn't find the right answer because the clues weren't sort of nudging it well enough in the right direction. So that's puzzle 5. And lastly, puzzle 6. I was so depressed after puzzle 5, I sent my wife a text. I said, I'm sad. So here's puzzle 6, which went better. And it's done, and now it's going to spend the rest of its minute less a little bit, checking its work in the way you've seen, and that's all you get to see tonight because puzzle 7 is for tomorrow. Will has a lot of stuff he wants to do. There's Trivia HQ. So he's asked that we not do questions, but if you have questions, find me, and I will be more than happy to try and answer them.
I got a big top open. Yeah. You may want to switch that.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna bail out.
Okay. Well, it's nice having you.